This video will provide a brief overview highlighting how to open SenSen for the first time, add clients, connect a sensor, correctly position the sensor on a client, administer tests, and generate reports. To begin, log in with the credentials that you were provided with your unit on the login screen. Once you log in, you will be in the Client Center. Here, you can see the majority of the app. The main nav on the bottom of the screen provides access to the Client Center, Test Center, Report Center, and Sensor screen. You can tap these at any time except when a test is actively being administered. The top of the app displays the name of the active user, your email address, as well as an active client's name if selected. The overflow menu in the top right corner provides access to settings, help, a user guide, feedback, and other options, as well as the logout button. Please spend a few minutes exploring each of these sections. Wherever you see an eye icon, tap to see more information. These are available on test screens and several others throughout the app. To manage sensor connections, tap Sensor from the main nav. SenSen will automatically detect any sensors within range that are charged. If your sensor isn't registering, hold down the gray button on it for 2 seconds. Tap Connect to connect the sensor. 2 optional confirmation checks are available: Shake Test and Blink. The blink will activate a blinking light on the sensor, and the shake test will turn the screen blue when shaking the sensor with an active connection. Once the sensor is connected, it needs to be correctly placed into the belt. Both belts have the same pocket for the sensor and show how to insert the sensor, with the S oriented so that the black line is underneath the S, and the S faces away from the client's body. Once the sensor is correctly placed, the belt is ready for use. SenSen includes 2 belts, each with a pocket where the sensor fits during testing, a waist belt and a thigh belt. The waist belt, the longer of the 2, locates the sensor on the client's lower back at the sacrum. The thigh belt, the shorter belt, locates the sensor on top of the quadricep. The waist belt is used for all tests except the chair stand, and the thigh belt is used only for the chair stand. The waist belt should be located so that the top of the belt is in line with the client's umbilical and the sensor is centered on the back. The thigh belt should be located so that the sensor is sitting on top of the quadricep between the hip joint and above the knee, and it should be snug enough that it doesn't slide. To add a client, navigate to the Client Center and tap the red Add Client button. Input the client's information in all fields and tap Save Client. Your client is now saved. Once in the Client Center, you can tap the star to favorite the client. This will keep it accessible at the top of the Client Center for quick access. Please note that you must have a client selected to access reporting or administer a test. Once a client is selected and the sensor is connected and on the client, you can administer a test. Tap Test to get to the test center, and from here tap the desired test. Within each test screen, there is an info page containing all the instructions to accurately and reliably complete a test. You can access this by tapping the eye icon. Please follow the instructions every time you administer a test. The 30-second chair stand counts the number of reps a client performs in 30 seconds. First, make sure the sensor is located on the thigh using the thigh belt, or information can be found in the info screen. The client should begin seated with their arms folded across their shoulders with a straight back. When ready, tap the green Start button and instruct the client to listen and begin when the ding sounds. At this point, they should stand up fully and sit back down as many times as they can. When the time is up, another ding will sound indicating that the test is complete. You do not need to do anything to stop the test. SenSen will automatically calculate the number of reps completed as well as the fatigue index and the response time. If needed, you can manually edit the stand count by tapping the number and changing it. Once you are finished, tap Save to save the test or discard. If the client is deemed a fall risk according to the CDC, a red fall risk badge will be visible on the summary screen. Please note that the chair stand should be administered with the thigh belt so that the sensor is located on top of the client's quadricep and not around the waist. The timed up and go test times the client while they stand up, walk out 10 feet, turn around, walk back, and sit down. With the belt and sensor on the client, tap the green start button and instruct them to begin the test when they hear the ding, approximately 2 seconds after the start button is tapped. The test will automatically complete when the client has successfully taken a seat at the end of the test, but if it does not, you can manually stop when the client sits down. The tug reports the total time as well as the walk out, turn, walk back time, and a response time. Fill out the optional observations before tapping Finish Test. Tap Save or Discard to complete the test. If the client is deemed a fall risk according to the CDC, a red fall risk badge will be visible on the summary screen. The gait test measures a client's gait speed over a specific distance. First, you'll need to select whether you want the client's gait test to start from a stopped position, a standing start, or after the client is already walking, a walking start. Next, select the distance the client should walk. Please note that this distance does not include an acceleration distance with the walking start, so make sure to start them walking before the selected distance begins. Mark out the course distance on the ground for the client to see. If performing a standing start, tap the green Start button and instruct the client to begin walking when they hear the ding. If performing a walking start, instruct the client to begin walking and manually tap the green Start button when they cross the start line. With both test types, tap the red Stop button when they cross the finish line. After the timed portion is complete, you'll be presented with the test summary screen, which will then need to be saved or discarded. The 4-stage balance test measures a client's postural sway in 4 different foot positions: feet together, feet staggered, feet tandem, and standing on one foot. If you want to record a leg preference, left or right, you can do so with the toggle on the test screen. The default is no preference. For each condition, instruct the client to find the correct position and that the test will begin when the ding sounds, approximately 2 seconds after the condition has started. Steady the client while you tap the green Start button and be prepared to release the client when the ding sounds. The test will run and another ding will sound when the condition is complete. Repeat this process until all conditions are finished. If a client fails a condition by either taking a step or grabbing onto something, immediately tap the red Stop button. The condition and test is over. You will be presented with an option to redo the condition and continue if an error occurred, or end the test right there. If the client is deemed a fall risk according to the CDC, a red fall risk badge will be visible on the test summary screen. Once complete, you will be presented with a test summary screen where you can save or discard the test. The modified CTSIB tests a client's balance centers by isolating the visual balance center and somatosensory balance center with 4 different conditions: eyes open on a firm surface, eyes closed on a firm surface, eyes open on a foam surface, eyes closed on a foam surface. For each condition, instruct the client to find the correct position, and that test will begin with the ding sounding, approximately 2 seconds after the condition is started. Steady the client while you tap the green Start button and be prepared to release the client when the ding sounds. The test will run and another ding will sound when the condition is complete. Repeat this process until all conditions are complete. If a client fails a condition by either taking a step, grabbing onto something, or opening their eyes, immediately tap the red Stop button. The condition and test is over. You will be presented with an option to redo the condition and continue or end the test right there. Once complete, you will be presented with a test summary screen where you can save or discard the test. To see client history and generate reports, tap Reports on the main nav. There are 3 screens to select from the drop-down. The default screen, Assessment History, gives a snapshot of all tests administered for the selected client. Each blue dot represents the test completed on that specific date. Tapping on a blue dot will open up the single test report from that date, which can be shared from the tablet. If multiple tests are completed on the same date, the most recent test will be displayed here. The activity log gives a detailed history of all tests completed for a selected client, with tabs representing each test. Test information is displayed next to the corresponding date, and an overview graph is displayed on the top of the screen. You can generate a custom comparison report by checking the box next to the desired test, then tapping Compare. You can also tap Full Report to generate a single test report for that specific test date. With both of these reports, you can share from the tablet by tapping the Share icon. Finally, the Exportable Reports screen gives a list of summary reports that can be generated. Each of these is available as a PDF document or as a CSV document that can be shared from the tablet. SenSen has the built-in capability to administer the ABC and DHI evaluation forms. To administer, navigate to the Client Center and tap Intake Forms. The screen shows recent evaluations and 2 buttons at the bottom, both of which will begin a new evaluation. Simply hand the tablet to the client for them to self-assess. When complete, take the tablet back and review results. A history of evaluations is shown on the intake form landing page. To generate a report for each of these evaluations, tap the blue dot. This can be shared from the tablet. The Client Center is accessed by tapping the triple dot menu next to the corresponding client. This opens up a menu with various options. Client information, where you can edit the client's info. Intake forms allow you to administer either the activities-specific balance confidence scale or the dizziness handicap inventory. You can also access the Report Center screens, assessment history, activity log, and exportable reports.